Trump was at the Super Bowl, and it was very interesting to watch. I actually did not see them cut to him almost at all. He left at halftime. Is that right? He left during the most boring halftime ever. Did he leave at half? It was a pretty dull game because it was a blowout. But I was waiting to see some more Trump cuts, cut to the president, didn't see him. I was waiting for the Doge commercials, didn't really see that. Said Trump sent crowds wild as he took the field, made history as the first sitting president to attend a Super Bowl game. Trump strode onto the field with his daughter Ivanka, son Eric. They shook hands. He posed for photos with family members of victims from the ISIS attack in Bourbon Street. He was also spotted shaking hands with Chris Jones, defensive lineman. Eagles beat the Chiefs 40-22. And they only scored like those last 2 touchdowns like at the very end of the game when it didn't matter. The president, in other words, it was like 40-3 or 7 or whatever it was for a while. The president then headed up to his seats and mingled with NFL Commissioner Trump, who was inaugurated just 3 weeks ago, attending as a fan of the Chiefs. They lost. In an interview that aired just hours before the game, I've got a clip of that. Trump praised the team's quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. A flood of government officials have been in New Orleans ahead of the Super Bowl. A bunch of people there. There's Trump looking good, walking out there. There's Ivanka. Trump shaking hands with the crew. Federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies were there. Drones, armed guard, x-ray machines. Biggest show on earth. Went off without a hitch. He praised the team's quarterbacks and more. And so there's more Trump with some first responders. And on the field, here's some video. All right, so making his way around the arena. And I'm looking at this right now. Tringali is in the house. So Tringali is over on Locals and says, where'd this go? Hey, I'd like to make a big shout out for my nephew who did the flyover for the Marines yesterday, Taylor Yance. Wow, shout out to Taylor Yance and Tringali. Shout out. What an amazing nephew you have flying over and showing how amazing America is. That was happening yesterday. Trump, meanwhile, was on True Social, and he was posting a bunch of stuff yesterday while the Super Bowl was happening. He shared this commercial of the Secret Service, which I didn't see when this aired live. This is what the Secret Service posted. But it's an interesting thing for the president to be posting this on Truth since he got shot in the head by thanks to the Secret Service.
America's Secret Service protecting this Super Bowl is asking a few more to step forward.
Wait, that was at the end, so let's start it over.
America was founded on an idea of freedom. America's always stepped forward in time of need throughout our short but powerful history.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Tear down this wall.
We've been there for all of it.
150.
The second plane hit the tower.
Our heroes have an inner pride to keep this idea alive.
There's no sound on this? The audio's bad? All right, I don't know why that is. My apologies. Is all the audio bad for everything? What does it sound like? No sound, or the audio isn't, it's just not good? All right. What about, let's play some different audio. Let's see if some other audio works better. How about this?
President, thanks for having us. Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Happy Super Bowl.
Thank you.
You know, you are going to be the first sitting president to attend a Super Bowl. It's a big day for America, always is. What made you want to do it?
First of all, I'm very surprised to hear that. I would have assumed many presidents came, but I think just the spirit of the country's taken on a whole new life. I thought it would be a good thing for the country to
That was weird. All right. Here's Trump. He gave an interview.
have the president be at the game.
It's an iconic day.
It's an iconic day. It's going to be a great game, 2 great teams, and let's see what happens.
It seems the first days of this administration are like a no-huddle offense. Plays going down the field, one after another. There's a long list of things you've already got done in 3 weeks. Big border policy changes, ICE crackdowns on criminals, taking biological men out of women and girls sports, big energy policy changes. So what's different with you and your administration? The difference between the 45th president and the 47th president?
With the 45th, I had tremendous opposition, but I didn't know people, and I didn't have the kind of support that I needed. I put people in office, some great, some really great ones, but I had some that I wouldn't have put. I would have known better if it were a couple of years later, or if I had a little more experience in D.C. I was a New York person, not a D.C. person. And I had a lot of opposition. I just know for the recent inauguration, and I'm looking, it's like a who's who of Washington. If you look on the stage for the first one, it was just the opposite.
So some of your plays have raised some questions and had some pushbacks.
So Brett's doing a little Super Bowl thing, no huddle offense, and tell me about your plays. Very clever, Brett. Well done.
19 states' attorneys general filed a lawsuit, and early Saturday, a judge agreed with them to restrict Elon Musk and his government efficiency team, Doge, from accessing Treasury Department payment and data systems. They said there was a risk of irreparable
Trump's DOJ just filed a response late last night on this. We're going to read through it today on the show.
harm. What do you make of that? And does that slow you down on what you want to do?
No, I disagree with it 100%. I think it's crazy. And we have to solve the efficiency problem. We have to solve the fraud, waste, abuse, all the things that have gone in the government. You take a look at the USAID, the kind of fraud in there. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of money that's going to places where it shouldn't be going, where if I read a list, you'd say, this is ridiculous. And you've read the same lists, and there are many that you haven't even seen. It's crazy. It's a big scam. Now, this is good money. And
it is a giant scam. And I just, while we're here, I wanted to pause and just cut over to this comment, because here's what Elon just wrote this morning. Said, the Doge team just discovered that FEMA sent $59 million last week to luxury hotels in New York City to house illegal migrants. Sending this money violated the law and is in gross insubordination to the president's executive order. That money is meant for American disaster relief and instead is being spent on high-end hotels for illegals. A clawback demand will be made today to recoup those funds, and those people should be prosecuted. It's in direct violation. It's theft of $59 million for illegals. He said, you're done. No more money for that. It's not an emergency, okay, for New York City to be a sanctuary city and demanding people come to their city, okay? They wanted it. They got it. We're done paying for it. They want to have millions of illegals. They can have them. We're not paying for it. So it's cut off. Send the money to our friends in North Carolina who actually, it's theft. It's criminal. And Elon and the rest of it, they're watching it happen. Like our government, that's an insurrection. That is against the law. $59 million. You know how much money that is sent to hotels? Sick. All right, back to the president.
we can do that through any one of a number. I think I'd rather give it to Marco Rubio over at the State Department. Let him take care of the few good ones. So I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, maybe in 24 hours.
That's today.
To go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. But I campaigned on this, Brett.
You announced tariffs on Canada and Mexico. You immediately got action from both of them on border security and drug interdiction.
I did. A lot of
Is that
action.
good? Is that good enough?
No, it's not good enough.
More needed in 30 days.
Something has to happen. It's not sustainable. And I'm changing it.
The Prime Minister said this weekend to a group of Canadian businessmen, he was at a private meeting, he said that your wish for Canada to be the 51st state is a, quote, real thing. Is it a real thing?
Yeah, it is. I think Canada would be much better off being a 51st state because we lose $200 billion a year with Canada, and I'm not going to let that happen. It's too much. Why are we paying $200 billion a year essentially in subsidy to Canada? Now, if they're a 51st state, I don't mind doing it.
You said the tariff is a beautiful word. There are some signs in the markets, consumer confidence, that they're a little jittery. If all goes to plan, when do you think families will be able to feel prices going down, groceries, energy, or are you saying to them, hang on, inflation may get worse until it gets better?
No, I think we're going to become a rich. Look, we're not that rich right now. We owe $36 trillion. That's because we let all these nations take advantage of us. Same thing, like $200 billion with Canada. We owe 300. We have a deficit with Mexico of $350 billion. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let that happen.
Sports has always been something that Americans rally around and come together. They really do. You won the popular vote. You won all the swing states. Have you thought about how to try to bring the country together, to reach out or to find common ground? Have you thought about that or how that might go?
We're doing it, Brett.
I'd love to do it. But I would say this. We have to come together But to come together, there's only one thing that's going to do it, and that's massive success. Success will bring the country together, but it's hard.
Yeah, talk to the Democrats, okay? Trump just won. He had his Treasury Secretary confirmed by the Senate, another branch of government. He comes in to take over, and now they're like, he can't do anything. Democrats suing, he can't do anything. He's not allowed to touch the Treasury Department. That Trump was elected by the American people to govern, and that the Senate confirmed the Senate to manage. Now, all of a sudden, insane DC judges are like, not so fast. Of course, we're going to break that down later. But talk to the left about this. Why are they not allowing Trump to have his cabinet come in with cash in Tulsi? Why are they dragging their feet on all of this? Talk to them about their lack of unity. They're the ones calling this a coup. They call everything a coup, okay? Unless they get their way. They're just like little hysterical babies. This is a coup. This is not fair. Constantly. Like little babies.
Hard. And I say it's hard. I just signed a bill allowing for women not to have to be punished by men in sports. In other words, men are not going to be allowed to play in sports against women. It's ridiculous.
You're a sports guy. You're a football fan. Size up these two teams.
I'm a big fan of both teams. They're sort of different.
So we'll fast forward through the conversations about the Super Bowl. But while Trump was traveling over there, he also made a stop to announce we are now calling it the Gulf of America officially. And he had Doug Burgum on Air Force One with him. Look at this beautiful sign back there, properly articulating what that body of water is called.
How are you? Nice to see you. Are you good? Good. So you all set? We're flying over right now. We're flying over a thing called the Gulf of America. And I'm signing a proclamation, and perhaps you could define that.
This is a proclamation declaring today, February 9th, 2025, as the first ever Gulf of America Day. This follows the President's executive order issuing a name change from the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
And we're flying right over it right now.
Beautiful.
So we thought this would be appropriate. Even bigger than the Super Bowl. This is a big thing. And almost everybody now has assented to that.
On board, ladies and gentlemen, if you could please direct your attention out the right side of the aircraft. Air Force One is currently in international waters. For the first time in history, flying over the recently renamed of America. Please enjoy the flight, and we are now about to head westbound to Super Bowl 59.
Wow, he did that well. Isn't that nice? You know, what about make America great again, right? That's what we care about. Okay, here we go.
Let's do it. Of America. Okay, we hugged that body of water from Texas
So
to
this is a
Florida.
famous pen now, and we'll put it with something. I'll ask you to do whatever you think we should do with it, Mr. Secretary. Do you want to talk about Secretary of the Interior and also working with Chris Wright on extracting vast amounts of oil and gas and making our country rich? Would you like to say something then?
With the Gulf of America, this is a historic day. We want to thank President Trump. His executive order is what set this in motion. We signed a secretarial order as Secretary of Interior directing the U.S. Geologic Survey, who is responsible for the database, which is the Geographic Names Informational System. And so just prior to this signing, if you will, the button was pushed. It became official with this proclamation to call today Gulf of America Day. But now it's going out as we're sitting here right now. Our team is calling all the map providers. So Google Maps, Apple Maps, all the map people. That change will take effect this afternoon.
All right,
Gulf
let's see.
of America. So again, fantastic. Thank you, President Trump, for setting this all in motion with your executive order. It's an exciting, fun day, and great to do this as we're flying over the Gulf of America.
Thought it would be very appropriate. We thought it would be appropriate. Catherine, thank you very much for being here.
So
It's a very important part of his life.
Google hasn't changed it yet on my phone. It's still Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, you can see it here. Look, not accurate. Gulf of Mexico. Fix it, Google. Fix it. All right, let's go back.
Who knows what would have happened to it without you? It might not have been good. Here you go. Okay.
To Mexico about this?
Actually, interestingly, I've never spoken to him about it. It was our call. And I have not spoken to him about, I've spoken to him about many other things, but I haven't really talked to him about this. They have never brought it up. I'm a little surprised at that, but they've never brought it up.
Sir, can you tell us about your conversation with Vladimir Putin?
I don't want to do that, man. You know, we're trying to end that war. It's a war that would have never happened if I were president. Would have never happened. But we're making progress, but I can't tell you.
You suffered a couple of court losses, Mr. President, and J.D. Vance said judges aren't allowed to control the executive power. What's your take on that?
We're going to see what happens. We have a long way to go, and we're talking about fraud, waste, and when a president can't look for fraud and waste and abuse, we don't have a country anymore. We're very disappointed with the judges that would make such a ruling, but we have a long way to go. We have to find all of the fraud that's going on. We have tremendous fraud, tremendous waste, and tremendous abuse. And theft, by the way. And the day you're not allowed to look for theft.
$50 million just got siphoned out of FEMA for illegals in New York. What a joke that is.
And fraud, etc., then we don't have much of a country. So no judge should frankly be allowed to make that kind of a decision. It's a disgrace.
All right, so Trump answered questions in there, took a bunch of time with Air Force One, and renamed that body of water Gulf of Mexico, which is good news.